ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you on a glorious Saturday afternoon in the fair city of Houston, Texas. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Great. It is a fair day, is it not?
I wasn't sure how, because anyone who's listened to the show now for a while, like I'm not trying to start us off on a bummer here, but I wasn't sure now that you've had, 5 days to recoup from.
Oh God.
I wasn't sure. I don't know what stage of grief or trauma. Like, where are you at in the processing part of what happened on Monday night?
um, I've moved on.
You've moved on,
Mostly because we've seen the last 4 or 5 years this great U of H team have their opportunities to take home a championship. So I
right?
feel like even though this was probably obviously it was their best chance to win
Best
it.
chance since '84. I mean, at least that was the last time they were in a title game.
Yeah, once you've kind of have little heartaches the years before, it's a little easier to deal with. I feel like I felt
So you're just numb to pain now.
yeah,
is
but
that, is
honestly,
that what you're saying?
I felt obviously the players are going to feel worse than the fans because the players are in the game. But I think it took me longer to not feel bad for those starters than I did for my actual self.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially and at least this guy will have a chance to, in theory, I assume he's coming back. He's not, done like Juwan Roberts. Especially for Emmanuel Sharp, because not only for the last possession where obviously he goes up for the shot, has to let the ball go because it looks like the Florida player was going to just stuff him into oblivion, and then obviously they in the possession without even getting a shot off. But the play before that, he had the ball. He tried to drive to the paint, and I believe it might have been Walker also on that play. I don't remember the Florida player on that play for sure, but knocked the ball right off of Sharp's knee, goes out of bounds, and they turned the ball over. So 2 possessions in a row. Sharp he was the last Cougar to touch the ball, and it ended in 2 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, just unorthodox U of H play. What was it? I think their final 4 possessions ended in turnovers.
And they only had 1 turnover the entire first half. Like Florida was like into the first half, I believe it was 9-1 as far as turnovers for Florida to Houston.
Yeah.
Like it was like Houston was dominating them on turnovers, and like you said, it was just all of a sudden they hit, just a switch just flipped, and all of a sudden the team was turning the ball over, making uncharacteristic mistakes. It was a tough way to go out because it looked. Now I will say, as a I was rooting for the game because I'm a Houstonian.
Yeah.
I want Houston to win, but as a normal, Cougar rooting, someone without Cougar rooting interest on a normal day to day basis, I will say it was not that it wasn't karma, but it was tough for me to feel too bad because kind of the same thing that happened to them against Florida, they did to Duke. So kind of
Yeah.
like as bad as you want to feel about the Florida loss, it's like, well, you probably shouldn't even been there to begin with because the same thing happened to Duke. So at least that was part of my processing it and grieving as an outside observer who was rooting for Houston in the game but didn't go there. But I imagine that might probably not is not much of a condolence to those who went there and bleed scarlet.
No, I mean, but I mean, you're right. I mean, Florida did exactly to them what they did to Duke. But I feel like this is just kind of like a common theme with U of H in those elimination games. They will play 37 minutes of great basketball, but
they were the better team easily for 33, 35 minutes in that game, and it just flipped.
Yeah, but there's always a couple minute streaks where something just goes wrong with this team, whether it's a few years ago with free throws or a streak of taking a bunch of threes and then injuries, and then obviously against Florida.
Shed in particular, a couple of years ago.
But at the end of the day, like, it sucks, but we also have to be positive because if I'm not mistaken, they just signed 3 top.
Yeah, I believe they have players. 2 5-stars and a 4-star. They have a crazy class coming in. Yeah. So
and the transfer
they got
from
Creighton. Yeah, Creighton was like a 17 point per game score. So
yeah,
Duke can play. So yeah, certainly no short of talent there for Kelvin Sampson, the Cougs. So should have a great shot of it next year. You hate to see one slip away because maybe they win one next year, but it could have been 2. And so that's always. Look, I mean, we're used to it in this city, and if you want to weigh in, like, what are your most heartbreaking moments rooting for Houston sports? I mean, whether it be the Oilers and the Bills back in '93, whether it be Damian Lillard hitting the walk-off shot against the Rockets,
Oh,
the Texans collapse against the Chiefs in 2019 where they're up 24-0. If you have a definitive worst moment in Houston sports, give us a call or text on the HRMP listener line 713-780-3776. We'll work those in as the show goes on. But again, Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you here on this Saturday. And let's talk about the Texans news because things have been quiet over on Kirby. Feels like for a couple weeks since the heat of free agency died down. But they made some news with another extension, one of many they've had this offseason, extending safety Jalen Petrie, which when I first saw the news before I saw the details, I was like, okay, I mean, I like Petrie overall. I think he's a valuable player, so I wasn't disappointed they were bringing him back. But as they say, devil's in the details. And when I saw the details, I was kind of to now. I think I've worked myself into pretty disappointed with the decision made by Nick Caserio. So if you haven't seen it, Petrie, who was a rookie, a third round rookie, was going into the last year of his contract, and they added 3 years on to the end of his deal, worth $39 million. So roughly, right or really right at $13 million per year, which will make him the highest paid player in the league at nickel corner. And I think that's where my pushback lands, Cam. And I'm interested to hear what you think about it because, look, again, I value Jalen Petrie. He's a great tackler. He's a thumper. He's a guy that embodies the swarm mentality that D'Amico wants from his defense. I think he's valuable as a linebacker or a defensive back disguised as a linebacker down by the line of scrimmage and sub package. That is a valuable role. But I'm not paying someone top of the market, literally the highest paid nickel corner in the league, when he's a player who you don't trust in man coverage. I mean, he literally is a nickel corner. I don't know what percentage of his job you would say is covering guys in man coverage. We saw how often he would get beat on crossers across the field when he would be lined up in the slot. The Lions game stands out in particular. A few others where he got torched as well. The Colts got him a few times. The Jets, Devontae Adams torched him a few times. But I'm not paying a guy top of the market value to play nickel corner if he can't cover. If I don't trust him in man coverage, that's the whole reason they moved him from safety. It's like, you know what? Let's get you away from the back end. We don't trust you in coverage. Let's get you closer to the line of scrimmage where you can play the run. And now they're paying literally top of the market for a guy who can't do half his job.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, overall, like his overall grade is really good. I think PFF has him at like 74%. So he's like,
that's overall pretty good. Yeah,
he's like 25th best safety in
the
league.
I mean, it wouldn't be elite, but I think that would be great as a positive starter. Like he's a good starter.
He's a good starter,
right?
But $13 million.
Good starter doesn't mean you should be paid top of the league at your position.
No,
I think that's where the pushback is.
And it's kind of one of those things. It's like, so Derwin James kind of plays a similar position.
Always bringing it back to the Chargers. You hear this, Johnny?
But
I give him 1 second and he brings it back to the Chargers.
But I feel like it's a good enough comparison to where
Derwin
James plays basically the same position, but Derwin James is exceptional at all levels of playing that position. And you're talking, I think he's making like $18-19 million a year. So the fact that Petrie is making 13, it's just kind of like, that seems like a lot to give a guy that you basically just talked about, had to switch positions, and now he's just kind of in this weird hybrid position. We like him because he can go after the quarterback and he's a good run defender, but it's just kind of like all those open missed tackles and stuff in the coverage issues. It's just kind of like, are they doing it because they just want the secondary to stay intact?
I think they're doing it, and we'll get into some more aspects of this as we go on, and we'll carry this conversation over into the next segment. But I think they're doing it, and this is just my gut feel. Like there's nothing that's come out from reporter. They haven't said this word for word, but it's just my gut feel from who they're paying and who they're paying top of the market. I think they just want to reward like their guys, like the guys that embody swarm, the guys that are the tough nose, fight every down, the guys that basically embody the style and type of play that D'Amico Ryan's played with. And I totally get that, but there also has to be a level of production and talent that comes along with it to make him worthy of extension. And I just look, Jalen Petrie had a great rookie year. He was a great find by Casario in the third round out of Baylor. Play dropped off in year 2 when he was still as a deep safety, and the team realized, and so did us fans watching him play, like, okay, this guy isn't a deep safety. He can't cover. He's getting beat deep. And so, credit to D'Amico, they came up with a way to better utilize his skill set, which is basically treat him as a linebacker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you talked about rushing the passer and making tackles on running backs. Like you're describing the attributes of a linebacker. And so they played him like that, and he excelled in that role, but we still saw the Lions game against Amon-Ra, the Jets game against Devontae Adams, the Colts got to him a couple times. And look, a lot of people get beat by Devontae and Amon-Ra, so that's in itself not something I would crush him over. But he's a guy that gets beat in man coverage quite often.
Yeah.
Like he's a guy that you would say, if you're grading his overall skill set, man coverage would be on the negative side of that. It would not be one of his strengths; it'd be a weakness. And so I mean, it's a salary cap league. It's not like baseball where, just if you're the Yankees or the Dodgers, just pay everybody.
Yeah.
It's all monopoly money. It doesn't matter because there's no salary cap. If you can pay the luxury tax, then you can do whatever you want. It's the football. It's the NFL. It's got a hard cap. You're going to have to pick and choose. Okay, which guys are the special guys that we have to make sure, no matter what, we pay them, we keep them, and which guys are, even though we like them, are maybe replaceable. And to me, Jalen Petrie falls on the replaceable side.
He is. And again, I think he's deserving of a contract extension. I just think $13 million a year is just it's a little much.
Yeah, it's a little rich. And let's carry some more aspects of this conversation on the side, because I think Nick Casario, in making this move to re-sign Jalen Petrie for, if you missed it, 3 years, $39 million added on to the year he already had on his rookie contract, and making the highest paid nickel corner in the league, is kind of missing his own strength in making this move. I'll tell you what that means on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
You're listening to the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the bullpen here on a glorious Saturday afternoon in the fair city of Houston, Texas. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. If you want to join in the conversation about the Jalen Petrie contract extension or what we open the show with the most heartbreaking moments in Houston sports for, unfortunately, Cam Smith's beloved Cougs. If you want to weigh in on that conversation, give us a call or a text on the HRMP listener line. You can find that at 713-780-3776. We have a moment here, Cam, and I'm ashamed that I didn't bring this up. But I think it's in part because there was more than just this moment wrapped in to what happened. But 2019, you know where I'm going?
I think so.
I know where you're going.
2019. Come on. Are we in agreement? I think a lot of people in the city are. They didn't win a title in 2019, but that was the best Astros team I've ever seen. I mean, Garrett Cole at the height of his powers, Justin Verlander, both guys, I believe, struck out 300-plus hitters that season, which is a complete throwback to Nolan Ryan in the 80s. I mean, guys, or Randy Johnson in the 90s. Guys aren't striking out 300 anymore, and both guys did it. An unbelievable team, but from 2568, Howie Kendrick hitting the damn foul pole and Pujols obliterating the baseball and Lidge's career as an Astro. So he combines two moments there. I don't know if I would throw now, in the moment, Lidge getting absolutely crushed like a Little League pitcher by Pujols was completely deflating. But we know what happened the next game. Yeah. Oswalt went in there, shoved, and got himself a bulldozer thanks to Uncle Drayton.
The greatest gift ever.
Yeah, and they gave out a bobblehead of that next year. Oswalt sitting on the bulldozer, still have it.
I do too.
Nice.
Do you really?
Yep,
nice.
That's a great bobblehead. Well done by the Astros on that one. More players sitting on bulldozers, Astros, if you're listening. So I don't know if I would put the Pujols one in there just because it had a happy ending. But yeah, the Game 7 for Astros Nationals in the 2019 World Series definitely qualifies. So good call from 2568. I mean, I guess Howie Kendrick is the culmination of what was a terrible night or a terrible finish to the night. But my anger in like what if always goes back to Hinch's decision to one pull Zach Greinke, who was dominant and like gave up a single, and all of a sudden you just yank him. And then, okay, if you do pull him, we'll go to Garrett Cole, who was ready.
But it was Will Harris, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Will Harris. So I don't know if you guys agree, but my kind of like hand wringing, like, oh my God, what are they doing? Wasn't even really Howie Kendrick. The game was lost before that to me. It was the decision with Greinke and Cole.
That might be the most like gut punching.
I think it might be for me too.
Although I know in 2015 when I was working with the Astros, I literally witnessed that collapse against
after the governor tweeted out, congratulations Astros for making the ALCS.
After all those years in a row of 100 losses.
4-1 lead with what, 6 outs to go?
Yeah, and then that ground ball through Correa's.
It was Will Harris too.
I think it was. But in Will Harris's defense, and it wasn't the cleanest ground ball, but it was one that Correa should have made. But I was literally like witnessing this entire collapse live. So like that one, I know for a lot of people, that one probably doesn't hit him as hard. But because I was there in person, it's just like I still have nightmares from that one.
I get that. Because especially, I get why people wouldn't be as affected by it because it was the Astros' first trip into the playoffs in literally a decade. I mean, 2015, last time they made it. Before that was 2005.
Yeah.
And you knew that team with a young Correa, with Bregman wasn't even up yet. Tucker wasn't even. He wasn't even. Actually, he had been drafted, but he wasn't up yet. Like you knew that team was still probably a few years away. So So I get why people wouldn't list that as high up as some of the other ones. But if I can play the other side of that, they should have beat. We all agree they should have beat the Royals. You're up.
Yes.
You're up 2-1. You have a 4-run lead with 6 outs to go. You should have won that game. The Royals went on to win the damn World Series. Like you should have beat the World Series champions. It's hard not to feel like they could have won the whole thing. Like, I mean, they probably don't, but it's still, there's a part of me that thinks, man, they could have been the World Series champions at 15 because they should have beat the team that did win it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
How crazy would that have been? I mean, 2015 and then 2017 and then 2019. Like it's almost like the Giants when they would win it every other year.
Yeah, like when it was even years. And it was 8, 10, and 12, I think.
something like that. Yeah.
Or 10, 12, 14, one of those two. But yeah, the Giants had a crazy run too. All right, so if you have any other moments you want to share with us, worst moments in Houston sports off the heels of the Cougars' unfortunate late collapse against Florida, give us a call or a text in the HRMP listener line 713-780-3776. We'll take those throughout the show. But getting back to Jalen Petrie, I think we left off the last bit or the last segment with the part of the conversation of like, it just feels that even though Jalen Petrie is a valuable part of the team, he has a role, he's a good thumper, he plays the run well. Like, it feels overpaid because, and I know this is coming off, might come off as dismissive or over explaining the side of it, but like, he can't cover. Like, I know he can cover a little bit, but you just see him get beaten on crossers and man coverage from the slot far too much for me to feel comfortable paying him top of the position money. The other part of it, and getting, it kind of goes back to you got to look at your roster construction in a salary cap league and decide who's replaceable and who's not. And part of why I feel Jalen Petrie is replaceable is not only because his play and his production from a man coverage standpoint is lacking, but we've also seen Nick Caserio hit on how many defensive backs over the last few years. Derek Stingley nailed it, right? I mean, Jalen Petrie obviously nailed it. Kamari Lassiter nailed it. Kalen Bullock nailed it. I mean, obviously Stingley was the third overall pick, but Kamari Lassiter was a second round pick, and then Petrie and Bullock were both third round picks. So, look, I mean, part of this for me is not only does Jalen Petrie not really, his production not live up to what I would want from a guy I'm going to pay that sort of money, but why would you pay top of the market money for a position that you've shown in Nick Caserio, obviously I'm talking about, that you've shown clearly being capable of finding hits at multiple times over?
Yeah, and
it's arguably his biggest strength is drafting defensive backs.
Yeah, and we see like contract extensions, and they're obviously like, we talk about how like this player will set the precedent and like the market for it. So it's just weird because it's just like we come back to it, and it's just like Petrie doesn't have like a real set position. So it's almost like Caserio set the market on somebody that doesn't have like a full like identity, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like that's why I feel like you could have gone lower, because it, like, obviously if you're an elite cornerback and you are an elite cornerback, you're going to get paid a good amount of money. Safeties and free safeties, strong safeties are going to get paid like a little less. But then again with Petrie, it's just kind of like he's not a linebacker, he's not a safety, he's not a cornerback. So it's just like, I feel like you could have set the market at this like hybrid position that he is and done it lower.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if Petrie would have necessarily taken that, but like, I don't care. Like, if I'm kind of at the point, like, he had a year left on his contract, so he didn't have to do it. I get the standpoint for when people say you want to be able to jump ahead of the market, jump ahead of hitting unrestricted free agency, because like we saw with the Nico Collins deal, like maybe you can get a deal now that once he does it again, puts another year of tape on, and the market goes up and up and up with the salary cap going up, new deals getting made, then maybe that deal that you did a year early looks like a great value. But I don't want to necessarily do that with Petrie. Like,
Yeah.
right. Like, because to me, Nico Collins, Derek Stingley, eventually Stroud, Will Anderson, those guys are in the non-replaceable category to me. If Petrie is in the replaceable category, which I think most of us can agree with, then okay, you play out this year. You let him hit the market. If the market says he's worth a deal that's more reasonable, less than what he got, then you resign him. If not, you let him go and you draft a guy in the second and third round where you've had hit after hit after hit. Because Nick Caserio, I mean, other than, I don't know what you would call his biggest strength as a GM, but it certainly to me would either be drafting wide receivers or drafting defensive backs. So unless they're absolutely special at that position, it's not like offensive line where he's had a ton of misses. Like defensive back and wide receiver,
he's been on point.
Yeah, like if they're not special, then why are we spending top of the market value on this? Johnny, you have any thoughts on this Jalen Petrie deal? Weigh in on this, please.
Yeah, I mean it's a little high, obviously, right? He set the market with him, but I think what was happening here is the Texans are valuing what he does do really well, and you mentioned that he's not great at covering, but like the defense has a lot of pieces. I don't think there's a lot of holes in this defense. I think they're expecting Jalen Petrie to be really good at what he does well, stopping the run, flying around. And I think maybe D'Amico and him have a good relationship and they sort of value what he does. And it was just worth it to make sure that he's, here in this. I don't know if you had to pay him this much, but obviously they believe in what he does do well.
Yeah, and as you're talking, I was kind of thinking that because we talked about the Caserio side of this, right? Like we felt he's been capable of finding these guys in the second and third rounds. Where if you let Petrie walk, you feel comfortable that you have a general manager that could find the next Jalen Petrie, right? But the other element to this, and John mentioned his name, D'Amico Ryans, is when I have a defensive-minded head coach who's proven to get the best out of guys, whether it was San Francisco with Fred Warner and the safety Tuafanga, who ended up going to Denver. Rather it be here, Henry To'oTo'o didn't have a great first year, took a big step forward this year. We've seen him get the most out of these one-year veteran free agent defensive linemen, whether it be Sheldon Rankins or Mario Edwards or Derek Barnett or Jerry Hughes towards the end of his career. Like we feel like D'Amico, as the great defensive mind, could take pieces that maybe aren't as valued on the open market by the entire league and get the best possible result out of those guys. So that's the other part. And not only do I feel confident that Caserio could go out in the second or third round and find the next Jalen Petrie because he's done it at least 3 times over, I also feel capable of whoever Caserio goes out and drafts, that D'Amico has a track record of getting the best out of that player as well. So it just feels like the Texans paid a price for special when Jalen Petrie, and this is no offense, just, I'm not in love with his coverability, isn't special. That's if I can boil it down to the simplest terms possible, I think that's kind of where I'm at.
I'm with you on that. It just, I don't know. It's to talk back about or to bring it back to what you were saying, obviously if he hits the free agency market, you're risking his the amount you'd have to pay him to be higher than what you gave him now. So I guess you could look at
just
it.
Let him walk. That's that's where I'm
at. Or
at.
just let him walk.
Yeah.
But I don't even I feel like even if you did that, I feel like he wouldn't even walk. He played at Baylor. He obviously he's been with the Texans for 3 years now, but I guess that's a risk they didn't want to take. So I guess they were obviously okay with, in our eyes, overpaying him. But maybe his pass coverage will improve, and this contract will.
4th year's a charm.
Yeah,
if he could cover in year 2, he couldn't cover in year 3. But hey, why not? Did you guys ever watch Arrested Development? I know that's going back. That's a show from 20 years ago.
I've seen a few episodes.
There's a bit where the character played by David Cross, I forget the character, Tobias. Yeah, Tobias, I think is his name in the show. Anyway, he's talking with his wife, and they're about to get a divorce or talking through the end of their marriage. And he comes up with they joke about some scheme of things people try towards the end of the relationship, and he makes the remark, "Yeah, that never works. That never works for anybody. It's never worked before." And he pauses and he turns and goes, "But it could work for us." And that's kind of what I feel like that. I'm not singling you out here at all, but just the thought process of maybe Petrie in year 4 is suddenly going to be able to cover him. How many times does he have to quack before you're okay with calling him a duck? I think he is who he is at this point from a coverage standpoint.
And this could be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm thinking of a guy that D'Amico played with in Glover Quinn.
Yeah. He was here for 3-4 years, and then he moved to Detroit.
Yeah, and
Texans didn't pay him because, remember why? They decided to pay Ed Reed instead.
Yes.
Oops.
Oops. that's another player too, where both those guys, obviously Ed Reed was a safety, Glover was a safety, but they were both more in the box heavy hitters. So maybe that's just something D'Amico wants one person on that team to be that hybrid kind of player. Now, obviously, when Ed Reed came over, he was not the same Ed Reed.
He was a shell
when he was in Baltimore,
yeah.
But he played like a similar style that Petrie did, kind of like DJ Swearinger. DJ, even though DJ was
DJ
a little
Swag. DJ
Swag
was the guy that had his dog bite Clowney. We can't look for the DJ Swearinger attributes in our players. We we don't want Jalen Petrie's dog biting Will Anderson Jr.
We don't. No, I don't need another DJ Swearinger
No, we don't
character.
We don't need DJ Swag back
But
in our life.
it seems like D'Amico kind of likes having one of these guys that can play that hybrid safety like linebacker, and maybe Petrie's his boy.
Yeah. One more quick thing before we go to break. I think it's just something to keep, not necessarily a cause for panic or concern, or maybe not even a red flag, just something to kind of keep an eye on. I heard this quote on another station when Nick Casario joined the show. This was actually a few weeks ago, but the host, I'll just say the name. I don't care. I don't buy into the whole radio thing where you can't say other people's names. He joined Payne and Pendergast on 610. This was like April 3rd, April 4th, something around there. And they asked him about the process or the thought of possibly doing a deal for Jalen Petrie, which they obviously did a little over a week later. But the quote, part of his quote really caught my ear in this answer he gave about re-signing Petrie. Quote, always open-minded to having a dialogue with a player and their representatives and trying to figure out an agreement that everybody feels comfortable with, because the goal is for both entities and both parties to be happy with how it went. You don't want to we're not trying to, quote, win the negotiation. We don't believe in that. It's not how we operate. You want something where the organization wins and the player feels valued and they feel like you made them a priority. And I get that he obviously has to keep players happy. He has to make sure the locker rooms, not disgruntled. I get all of that. And there's no reason to, kind of like you see when arbitration comes around in baseball, there's no reason to nickel a dime a player over $1 million or $2 million if you
Yeah.
want to get the deal done. So on that aspect of it, I agree with what he said about let's find a deal that makes them feel happy. But when you're seeing this, not just with Petrie, but with other players along the roster, where it feels like the Texans are. I mean, they did it with Stingley. Now Stingley's special. I didn't mind it, but they're having a trend now of seemingly jumping the gun and being willing to set a top of the market price. And they haven't paid Will Anderson yet. They haven't paid CJ Stroud yet. CJ is probably getting $60 million per year. That's what that got. That's what that got. I mean, I've heard people say, well, maybe he'll do you Mahomes, maybe he'll do you Brady, maybe he'll take a team friendly deal. Okay, team friendly is still probably $58 million.
It's not really. It's still a ton of money.
It's still going to be a bleak ton of money. They're going to have to back up the Brinks truck for him. So it's just something to keep an eye on as we look at the roster construction and start to wonder, like, do they have money for things? Okay, well, part of the answer to that, well, are they continuing to give out top of the market value contracts basically on everyone that they like? I don't know. To me, part of being GM is making the hard decision, and to me, giving Petrie this much money was kind of passing on making the hard decision.
Yeah, and like obviously you want to keep like the team happy, the player happy. You want to keep that unity, but like keeping players happy doesn't always lead to success.
Well,
like,
I mean, part of keeping players happy is winning, and if you can't afford to build the team in the way you want to because you're paying everybody top dollar, then that's not going to keep the team happy.
At the end of the day, not everybody's going to be happy all the time.
You're going to have to cut some players because you're over the cap. So anyway, something to keep an eye on as the offseason and the next few years go on. All right. We'll maybe get into some NFL topics if we have time, but let's go ahead and transition over to the Astros on the other side of the break, because they had a breakout game, gentlemen. 14 runs.
Finally.
How many games prior to that did it take them to get to 14 runs? It's probably almost entire damn season at this point. But anyway, we'll talk about the Astros' big win on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Yiner connects deep to left field. He's got a chance to slam it. He does! Yiner hits a grand slam, and the Astros lead this game 7-2. This ball hit high in the air, deep to left field. Could it be his first career home run? It is! Cam Smith, his first home run of the show, and the Astros lead 13-3. Welcome to the show, Cam Smith. As he drills one to left, does he have his first Astros home run? Yes, he does! Isaac Paredes.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. That voice of Todd Callis you just heard calling the action for 3 Astros home runs as a part of the 14-3 blitzing they gave the Angels last night. Yiner Diaz, Isaac Paredes, and Cam Smith getting on the board last night too.
Welcome to the show, Cam Smith.
There we go, Johnny. Welcome to the show, Cam Smith.
Thank you.
So that was obviously courtesy of Space City Home Run Network and Todd Callis. You can hear every Friday with the Killer Bees, either 4 o'clock if they're on the road or 4:30 if they're at home. If you want to hear the voice of the Astros, always very open with us too. I highly recommend. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show, but sometimes you get these play-by-play guys on, and they only want to give you so much, right?
Yeah.
They don't really want to give a real truthful answer. TK will answer.
TK's for
You
the
ask
people.
the question, TK will answer. So definitely check those visits out with the Killer Bees every Friday at either 4 or 4:30. So again, Astros win 14-3 last night over the Angels, which was definitely a welcome sight from a team who's had an offense that struggled and had an off day the day before, but the last time they played lost in just absolutely dramatic fashion. And we might talk about that game here in a minute, but let's first get into the good with what happened last night. So again, Isaac Paredes, 3 hits, 2 walks, including his first home run as a Houston Astro. Christian Walker, who got banged up a little bit on a bizarre play. I don't know if you got to see the game, but I forget the Angels player. Do you remember the name of the Angels player that hit him?
No, but he got kneed in the butt.
Yeah, so there was a ground ball, and obviously Walker's covering first base. And as the Angels player came through, he was way too far on the inside of the base path, like basically almost into the grass. And Christian Walker was where he was supposed to be. Like, he wasn't leaning out over the base; he was stretching out to catch the ball, being thrown to him. And the Angels player just completely had like a WWE Daniel Bryan running knee right into his ass.
Oh.
It was Walker went down. I think from what I've heard, he's fine. But yeah, that was a brutal hit
Well,
Walker took there.
He before he even started the season, he was dealing with.
Yeah,
this stuff.
he had the oblique thing. Yeah, and then in addition to Isaac and Christian Walker, someone who I was really high on to go into the season and had just started off as doo-doo garbage. Yiner Diaz, 3 hits last night. The grand slam, which you heard, also had a double and a single, just a triple short of the cycle. So, I mean, the bats have been historically quiet, Cam. I don't know if you saw this stat from Chandler Rome, but after 12 games, so every game except for yesterday, after 12 games, the Astros were slashing 208, 293, 291 as a team. The 291 slugging and 584 OPS were both the lowest in all of baseball, not just the American League, but all of baseball. Was last night in 14 runs by the Astros enough for you to go, all right, maybe that was just the early season. These guys are about to turn a corner.
No, not really.
Okay, all right. Well, there we have it. Next on the bullpen, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
It's not even just those numbers that are concerning. It's also the fact that and I haven't checked since last night, but before last night, I think they were dead last in home runs. They were one of the worst teams when it came to doubles.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
I would believe all of it.
One of the highest striking out team, which is crazy because you don't think of the Astros as being a high strikeout team. Like the last time I think of them as being a high strikeout team was when Chris Carter was on the team, and it was the 100 lost season.
Yeah, 11 or 12 or something like that.
I mean, it was great to see that because before that, 37 runs in 12 games. Like wait,
so they scored 37 runs in 12 games and 14 last night.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the math on that, but that's like a high percentage of their runs. So that would be what, 51 runs for the entire season?
Yeah.
And 14 of which
came in one
game. So what is that, like 1/4? 25% of their total season runs came in one game?
Basically.
Oh
like that's crazy. And it's just
don't love that.
And I forgot what show I was listening to, but they were talking about kind of like the concerns with Pena, because they're like, oh, he had such a great spring training, now he's struggling. Like, okay, Pena sometimes starts off slow, like it is what it is. And then there's a whole Christian Walker, like when's he going to turn it around? Well, at least Christian Walker for a few games was actually connecting and hitting the ball hard.
Massive home run against the Twins.
Yeah, it just wasn't dropping. And then there was the topic of Yonder Diaz, and it was just kind of like, we haven't seen anything from Yiner to think that he's going to.
Let's carry, because that plays into a question I want to ask you, but we don't really have enough time in this segment to do it. So let's carry that part of the conversation over on the other side of the break. I'm gonna ask Cam, and maybe he just gave us his answer, but what's been most disappointing to you about the Astros so far? That on the other side of the break, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
That's the ball game. Brady tried to spin a slider in there, and he left it up. And the Mariners score 4 in the 8th. And then Arozarena literally walks it off with a walk in the 9th. Devastating loss for the Astros, up 5-0 with only 4 outs remaining to get.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Domer here with you. That, again, courtesy of Space City Home Network and the voice of Todd Callis, calling what was definitely the ugliest, worst loss of the Astros season thus far. The game on Wednesday at Seattle where they led 5-0 in the 8th inning and just completely pooped all over the field. Ended up giving up a grand slam and a walk-off walk to Randy Arozarena. With
Literally the worst way you can lose a game.
I mean, a walk-off walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you. I think that is the worst way to lose, because you could hear it in Todd's voice. Todd is a pro, but he couldn't hide his disgust in that moment. It was like, and that'll do it.
And
ball game over. Like, come on,
They
man.
tell you as a pitcher, if the bases are loaded,
You got to make him hit it.
the worst thing you can do is
Right.
walk them in. Let your defense play behind you. Like if they get a hit, they get a hit. But to basically give them a free
Especially
run,
since it was a slider.
yeah,
Like, I mean, even if he hadn't, I'm not a pitcher. I don't know the term as far as how he gripped it or if he over released it or whatever. But even if he threw it correctly, there's a decent chance it's out of the zone. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I get the mindset that Arozarena probably with a full count is hunting fastball, but again, I'm with you. Maybe it's a line drive right at somebody. Maybe it's a long fly ball that goes to the wall, but is caught short of going out. Like, I would rather take my chances with that than spinning up a slider out of the zone and walking in the run. So anyway, this has been outside of last night, really a season of disappointment so far for the Houston Astros. And you were talking about, was it Yainer Diaz you were talking about before we went to break? So, I mean, I think that's probably my answer to this. I'm curious if that's also your answer and what Johnny's answer is to this as well. Astros right now, what are they? One game below 500. It's been a disappointing, 6 and 7. But what's been the most disappointing part of this Astros season for you so far, Cam?
So specifically, if I'm going after one player, it's going to be Yainer. But as a whole, and I knew that they might struggle a little bit because we've seen that the Astros notoriously start slow in the past. The only issue is that's been with teams where they've had a lot of chemistry. The days of George Springer, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa. Like, you knew that they were gonna like dog down together and get out of the slump. But this is a whole new like Astros team. Like, it's a whole new lineup. Like they've a lot of these guys have never played before. So I thought that there would be a little bit of some struggle offensively. I just didn't think it was going to be this bad, and from the bigger names that you thought. And the funny thing is I know we talked about how, like, oh, if we'll allow Altuve's defense and left field to stink or be below average as long as he's driving in runs and getting hits, which he's doing, but he's the only one doing it.
Yeah, I mean, right. You look at Altuve's slash line right now. He's hitting 339, 383 on base, 500 slugging, 883 OPS. I mean, he's having, I mean, not a career year, but if you were to stack this season against other seasons in his prime, you wouldn't notice any difference as far as that slash line. That looks like a in prime classic Jose Altuve line. I agree with you on Yainer Diaz. I mean, there's certainly other people to point out as far as being a disappointment, but Yainer Diaz right now hitting 132, otherwise known as about 50 points lower than what we were mad about Maldi hitting.
Yeah.
So he's hitting 132 with an OPS of 432, which I'd be disappointed with if that was just his slugging, but that's his slugging and on base. So I'm in agreement with Yainer Diaz, but Johnny, where do you side on this? What's been your biggest disappointment?
Well, I don't want to just jump on that same train with you guys, but it is Diaz. I think that's the answer. But if I have to, pick somebody else here, it's going to be, somebody at the back end of that bullpen here, or maybe Ronel Blanco hasn't looked, like
He's a little better last night.
A little better last night, but
Yeah.
he's definitely hasn't looked the same as he has in the past. I don't know, Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan's been disappointing.
Jordan's just, I struggle with that just because, like,
because he'll get it together,
right?
Right.
We didn't get to this question yesterday on the Bees, but it was on the rundown. Like, when do you hit the panic alarm on certain guys? This was one of Joel's topics, and the first guy on his list was Jordan. and we didn't get to it, but my answer was going to be like next year. Like, I mean, like unless he shows this is like something that happens all season long, like Jordan has such a long track record of being amazing when he's not hurt that I'm just never going to believe he's not just about to turn the corner. So I'm not really worried about Jordan at all. I'm really not worried about Christian Walker at all because he also has a long track record of being an elite player. Now, we'll leave out for a small chance, because he is 34, that this could be him hitting the downside of his physical prime.
Like Abreu?
See, you had to go and mention the devil's name. Like, why would you put that evil on us, Cam?
I'm sorry, and I'm not saying it because I really like the Christian Walker signing.
He wouldn't put that. He put the Jose Abreu evil on us, Johnny.
I mean,
yeah, he did.
Oh
I think
my
people
God.
like the Abreu signing. Then
I know,
too.
I know there are some similarities. Damn it! I mean, Abreu was, I think, 2 years older at the time.
Yeah.
He was 36, not 34. But I mean, it's no. You know what? No, it's not possible. He's not Jose Abreu. Shut up, Cam. All right, so Ronel Blanco. That got really aggressive, Johnny. That got really aggressive. Let's get back to Ronel Blanco so we stop talking about Christian Walker. Yeah, like last night, not bad overall. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks. I mean, obviously you would take that every day of the week. But his other 2 outings, not great. And especially the one against Minnesota, only got through an inning and 2/3, 4 earned runs, 5 hits in, like I said, less than 2 innings. So Ronel Blanco was someone, we never got to this on this show, but it was something I wanted to talk about because there was a CBS Sports article that listed like their breakout players from 2024 who they thought were like the most real, who could repeat it in 2025. And the top guy on their list was Ronel Blanco.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I could see what they were talking about in the article, but this was a dude that didn't make the team as like a regular player for the first time until he was 30. We talked about JP France being like an old, never was prospect when he debuted at 28. And Ronel Blanco was 2 years older at age 30. Hell, he's older than Sean Mapes, who's sometimes on the show with us now. So like I guess I was optimistic still that Ronel Blanco, because even though he had a second half drop off last year, his second half drop off was still a guy in the mid 3s as far as ERA. Like I knew the first half where he was like 2.5 ERA, that was not going to be, repeatable. There was no world in which that was repeatable. But second half, even with the drop off, he was like 3.5. It's like, okay, maybe he regresses a little bit further. Maybe now he's a 3.8 ERA guy. And I would still take that from my 5th starter. Well, I guess he's technically your 4th starter. Well, actually now he's your 3rd starter because Eric Getty got, oh my God, we might have to talk about Eric Getty too. How in the world do you break your thumb while the other team is hitting bad?
At least it's not as bad as what we thought.
Have you guys seen Dumb and Dumber?
Oh yeah,
Johnny, I know you're younger than us. Have you seen Dumb and Dumber, the classic with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels? This feels like the moment where they go into their apartment and they find their parrot dad, and Jim Carrey proclaims, "And all our pets' heads are falling off." Like when Spencer Arrighetti breaks his thumb from while out in the outfield during batting practice. This is kind of our pets' heads are falling off moment for the 2025 Astros. But yeah, so Ronel Blanco, I mean, getting all the way back to that, I know we diverged over to Jim Carrey there for a second, but I don't know. Like, I feel like, so if he were to, okay, let me put it to you like this. If he were to finish the season, healthy all the way through, and his ERA is 4.1, would you be satisfied with that? As your, right now, 3rd starter, but when you're fully healthy, like 4th or 5th starter?
If he was my 4th or 5th starter, I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be too upset by that. But it also, mostly too, because before 2024, he wasn't like he wasn't a starter.
Yeah, that was something apparently Dana Brown just like got a look at him. Was like, man, that guy looks like a starter to me, and made the change, and it worked out. Obviously, last year he was great for them.
I mean, we kind of saw that with Brad Peacock. Brad Peacock wasn't really.
I love Brad Peacock.
I love Peacock, but it was almost kind of the same thing. Like he was a reliever. They tried him at starter, put him back at reliever. Then he had a really good year starting. It's just kind of like Ronel. He was never a starter before 2024. So that's why I think he has a little more leeway. But I also was very shook when I saw that he was on the top of the list, because I was just kind of like, that's the number one guy you think has the chance of repeating. Like
Yeah, it
he
was a little
did it
weird.
for 1 year, and that's who
Yeah,
you think
at age 30.
Yeah.
At age 30. So they were definitely buying the hype. I think Yonder Diaz and the offense are going to carry most of mine. Renell Blanco's a good answer there by Johnny as well. I think for the most part, except with the exception of really one guy, I wouldn't put the bullpen arms on this list just because, bullpen this early in the season, now 13 games in, one bad game can blow up your ERA to just crazy levels. Like Brian Abreu, who overall before yesterday had been pretty good. Like those were the only I was just double checking this to make sure I was right. Those 3 runs he gave up against Seattle were the only earned runs he's given up the entire season, but now his ERA is 5.06.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like I don't want to crush a bullpen guy right now because the numbers can be so inflated because of the small sample size. The one exception to that, and it's kind of similar to
I know where you're going.
Okay, well, say the name for me.
Contreras.
No, actually,
Oh.
it wasn't gonna be that name. I mean, Contreras probably can make the list as well. He was batting in Seattle. No, the name I was going to say because that to me is kind of a similar thing to Renell Blanco, where he kind of came out of nowhere. Was Taylor Scott.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Taylor Scott was unbelievable for them last year as like a 6th inning, kind of the first guy to come out and put out fires before you got to your 7, 8, 9 guys. He was unbelievable last year. This year ERA is 8.31. I again, extremely small sample size. Double check here on the amount of innings he's thrown. Can't be that much. Yeah, it looks like he's got
4.1.
4.1. So again, tiny sample size. So you don't want to overreact to it. But Taylor Scott was already someone that I kind of was, keeping a side eye on, a little suspicious of, just because last year felt like it might have been the outlier in what has been an overall kind of a journeyman career. But I think Taylor Scott, if we had to single out a bullpen guy that I was a little suspicious of or disappointed in, because I mean, with Ryan Presley leaving, you were really relying on him as being kind of your 7th inning guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't know if he is.
It's almost the exact same situation we saw with Montero. Montero really
Which
good.
thankfully he gone.
Yeah, really good 2 years ago, but that was the outlining season. Then they gave him a big contract, and he went back to the Montero that we had seen the years before.
Yeah.
And obviously, I haven't seen a whole lot of Taylor Scott, but the fact that you've already been in 6 games and 4 innings, and you're giving up basically a run every outing. Like
yeah,
that's
31 ERA.
because, like you said, like Brian Abreu, no runs
until
he gave up
Wednesday.
a lot, but
yeah.
Scott is consistently giving up runs, and that's where it's like more of a concern. Like it's almost like Hader last year. He 10 phenomenal games in a row, and then he'll give up a game where he gives up like 2 or 3 runs, so the ERA like blows up for a little bit. So I can deal with that, but when you're consistently giving up a run every single outing, that's where it's just kind of like, okay, we got to stop using this dude.
Yeah, I mean, they unfortunately don't have the luxury of really like
Not
pulling
right
the
now.
plug on anybody because they're obviously down arms because our pitchers' heads are falling off in the case of Spencer Arrighetti. But certainly something to keep an eye on with Taylor Scott because I'm a little suspicious that last year might have been an outlier. But well, let's end the Rockets or the Astros conversation because we have to get to the Rockets on the other side of the break. Who, I mean, beyond all of our expectations, will be the number 2 seed in the playoffs when they start next week. So we'll get into the Rockets on the other side of the break and maybe a little bit of fun with some audio that came out of the Masters this week as well. That when the bullpen returns for hour 2 on the other side of the break, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the bullpen. Hour number 2 with Cam Smith, Brian McDonald, and John Belmer. Of course, coming up at 1:30, we'll have the award-winning groundbreaking segment, Mount Rushmore Plus One. But right now, we talk Houston Rockets. With the Rockets, as I think surprised even the most diehard of fans, going from 41-41 last year, finishing as the 11th seed, to now going into, and they locked this up, I think 2 games ago, maybe 3 games ago. They will be the number 2 seed in the playoffs when they start a week from today, when the regular bracket starts a week from today on April 19th, also known, John Belmer knows this, also known as WrestleMania Saturday. So I might be in a conflict about, do I watch the Rockets in their first playoff series since the bubble, or do I watch WrestleMania?
So your argument is, do I watch something interesting or not interesting?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to watch WrestleMania.
Oh,
Okay. I thought we were on the same page there. No, yeah. I'm going to watch WrestleMania. And I'll DVR the Rockets.
2 screen? Oh, I was
no,
gonna say 2
no,
screens.
I can't deal with the 2 screens. If it's something I like care about, I don't want to split my attention. Like if I'm just like, if the wife and kids are asleep on a Tuesday and we got Maction on TV, sure, I'll quad box it. I don't care, because I'm not really super invested into the individual outcome of a game. But no, Rockets.
That Rockets game is gonna get spoiled for you.
Nah, I'll be fine.
Really?
I think so.
You're gonna stay off all social media.
I think
while watching WrestleMania.
Oh, that's a good point, Cam.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But at the same token, though, if I'm on social media during the Rockets game, WrestleMania is going to get spoiled.
You're in a predicament.
Maybe the Rockets will be the early game, or maybe they won't tip off till Sunday and won't matter. Which you know what, WrestleMania's on Sunday too.
Well,
okay,
quite the pickle.
We'll figure this out. We'll figure it. John is beside
you could sacrifice one of the days.
No,
it's
John.
2 days.
It's the showcase of the Immortals, John. It's where legends are made.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, legends.
That other guy.
How dare you suggest I miss one of those days?
That other guy, yeah.
Yeah, and then that other one.
Yeah. Well, which one were you gonna say?
That big one.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
But specifically though, what was his name? It's all right. With sports entertainment, Sean gets back next week. We'll talk some wrestling. I have to deal with these noobs who don't want to talk wrestling. All right, Rockets. We'll
wrestling
get to the Rockets.
Peasants.
We only got like 6 minutes here, so we really got to get going. Rockets got their ass kicked last night, but obviously they're not trying. Their seed was locked up, and a lot of the starters who did play were only playing like 14, 15 minutes. Jalen Green's only playing enough minutes to make sure he gets credit so he can get the 82 games played again, which, let's start off there.
I respect it.
I respect it, and I get it. It's a point of pride, especially in the league where you see a lot of guys taking load management games, every other week. But like, how do you feel about Jalen Green putting that individual accomplishment, playing in all 82 games for, I believe, a second straight year, maybe third straight year, above making sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that he's healthy when the playoffs start on April 19th? Because I know he's only playing like 15 to 20 minutes, just enough to get credit for the game, but he's still playing 15 to 20 minutes, and the injury risk in that 15 to 20 minutes is not zero.
I mean, it's still
like if he twists an ankle playing those 15 to 20 minutes, and now his status for the first couple games of the playoffs is up in the air, I think we're going to have some people upset.
I mean, it's still there, but like, are we saying that it's more like a Jalen thing? Like he's like, no, I need to play.
Yeah, Jalen has made it known that's very important to him
to play all 82.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it was something about trying to get like a bonus or something else, but the fact that he's trying to be that one guy that can almost like, well, I was gonna say Jaylen Brown, but now he's hurt. So, but I was gonna say if it's one of those things where he's trying to be that one guy that can show you that he can play all 82 games, I'm not mad at it.
I have a theory with this, because I think most people agree with you, Cam, in because like if he were chasing like a points thing or something else that is viewed as more like, I guess, glory hogging,
yeah,
I think people would have a problem with this. I think people are kind of, or seem like for the most part they're on your side of this, because he's chasing after something that feels more noble. Like it's like an Iron Man thing. I'm a gladiator.
Yeah.
I'm not taking days off. I'm not taking load management days in February. Like he's playing every single game. So because it's, I think, viewed as a more noble pursuit, people are willing to overlook the idea of he's risking injury and hurting the team.
Yeah, and knock on some wood, obviously he's a guy that's able to stay healthy. So I think that there's more of a longer leash to let him do something like this. Now, if it was anybody else like Sengun or Van Fleet who have been hurt a few times the last couple of years, for me, them trying to chase 82 games, I'd be like, no, stop it.
Yeah, and maybe Jalen Green's just got Wolverine blood in him. You're not worried about him getting hurt as much. But you're right. Like anybody with even, you like that reference, Sean? Anyone with even the slightest bit, I mean, they have a hangnail they need to be sitting.
Exactly.
There's literally nothing to gain from what now is only one game remaining, which is tomorrow. But even, last night, like the last 3 games for them, last night included, were completely meaningless for the standings. They're locked into the 2 seed. So right now, like I said, 2 seed playoffs start a week from today for them. When the play-in games are done, the Rockets will play the winner of the 7-8 play-in game, which right now would be the Timberwolves or the Grizzlies. I think the answer is pretty clear there. Both guys have, top-notch scores with Anthony Edwards and John Morant. But if I'm the Rockets looking at that potential matchup of either the Timberwolves or the Grizzlies, give me the Grizzlies, please. Like I know John Morant, if he gets hot and he's not lobbing grenades and doing handguns, he could beat you on a given night. But the Rockets won the season series against the Grizzlies, and I don't know. I don't fear Ja the way I would Anthony Edwards taking the next step and being a guy that, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say he could be a guy, if he's hot, that averages 40 in a series. Like he's that level of player, that level of upside to me. So if I had my choice between Timberwolves or Grizzlies, give me the Grizzlies.
I'm going to go Grizzlies too. Minnesota always plays us really well. And even though Memphis is a really good team and Jaw can light it up, they just fired their head coach.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
that was
another,
weird.
That's,
I mean, so do the Nuggets.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
even more weird.
I don't get it.
Like, didn't y'all just win a championship?
Yeah, 2 years ago. I mean, quick derailment. I don't know if you saw this, and I know, caveat, asterisk, whatever, it probably means absolutely nothing. But when the firing of Malone happened with Denver, BetOnline put out odds for next team for Nikola Jokic if he leaves Denver, because the reports are like they told him before the news broke on ESPN, but they didn't consult him. It wasn't like, hey, what do you think of this? It's like, we're doing this, just a heads up. And so apparently that has created the idea that maybe Jokic might want out, and the number 1 team on the odds board in Vegas, if he leaves the Nuggets, is the Houston Rockets.
Which
I mean,
it's exciting to be on top of that list,
half
but
your damn team.
Yeah, it's just kind of like that. Why would the Rockets, who basically already have a younger, I don't want to say saying lesser, but I mean,
don't ask the question why we would want Jokic, Cam. I mean, Jokic is the best player in the world.
I would get why you would want Jokic, but it's the fact that you would have to give up so much for him, and you already have a guy in Sengun that's on his. I'm not saying that he's ever going to be to the level of Jokic, but he does basically.
He's baby Joker.
He's baby Jokic. So it's just kind of like the amount that you would have to give up for this guy. I don't know if I could do it, because we see how well this team has come together and played under Ime, and it's just like, they're not that big of a piece away from doing something relevant in the playoffs. Like, I think that they could use another star, but I don't think it has to be the best player in basketball right now for them to do something.
Okay, so you think they're capable of winning a title with what they currently have?
Not with what they currently have. I think that they could get another star in here. I just don't think it has to be to the level of Jokic.
Okay, so I think, okay, now it might cost more than this. And really, again, this is a very unlikely scenario. Jokic is going to stay in Denver. I think this whole thing is being overblown. But hey, it's fun.
Yeah.
Let's play it out on radio. My hypothetical trade offer, kind of take it or leave it to Denver, would be Sengun, because they'd be playing the same position.
Yeah,
it makes a lot. I mean, one, Denver will get an all-star level big that is younger than Jokic. It makes a lot of sense. So Sengun is the centerpiece of, he's the biggest prize of the trade offer I'd make. And then I'd be willing to throw in Tari Eason, who's, a young, exciting player, wing player. who I think would be interesting to Denver. I mean, that's not some scrub off your bench that you're throwing in like you see these offers get made online. Like Tari Eason's a legit piece. I think you could afford to lose, but Denver would also like. So Şengün, Tari Eason, a veteran to make the contracts work, because we know the NBA you have to be within was 10%, 15%. So you're, which probably means it's either Fred or Dylan, and then some first round picks. You have the first round picks from Phoenix. If a deal is centered around Şengün, Tari Eason, a veteran to make the contracts work, and a couple first round picks, you would poo poo that? I don't know if Denver would even take that. They might want more. Jeremy Brandon thinks that it would cost both Jalen Green and Şengün.
If what you're saying is what Denver would want, it would be hard not to pull the trigger for that trade. But I think they're going to want more. I think that they're going to want.
I mean, Jeremy thinks it's going to take Şengün and Jalen Green.
I think it would,
plus a veteran and picks. Which, I mean, I get it. He's the
now
best.
You might be able to get another good player from Denver in return, like maybe like
just
like
roster
a
swap
Porter or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think Denver knows what they have in Jokic, and I think that they could ask for the world, and maybe some team will give it to him. But if you're talking Şengün and Green and first round picks, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I'd be out at that point. Quick text reacting to what we were talking about with Jalen Green before we get to the break. From 0452, I think is no, I don't think. I know he's taking a shot at my opinion here on Jalen Green, which is fair. Quote from 0452, I don't get it. One day we cry about paying to see people play and they don't. Now we call them selfish for wanting to play. So now I will say to 0452, I have never been one, and I'm comfortable going on record this, try to pull the tape because it doesn't exist. I've never cried about people missing games for load management. To me, you should do what's best for you and the team, and if that's to get rest and be healthy, because the season is already way too long. I'm a person that would shorten the NBA season to 60 games. Like, I think it's ridiculous that they play 82 games. I know that's a hot takey. I'm out on an island. I'm well aware of that. That's just to make the point. Like, I don't care that LeBron sits out a random game in March because it's the second night of a back-to-back and he's 40 years old and they're trying to make it to the finish line of the NBA playoffs, because making sure you get to the NBA playoffs healthy is the most important thing for them to do. And that falls in line with my thought on Jalen Green. The most important thing to do, like if I were to tell you what's the most important thing for us to do, make sure Jalen plays 82 games or make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. It's make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. So, I mean, I get what the text are saying, because there are a lot of people, and even at the station, not me, but people at the station that get all up in arms when players load manage. I'm not one of those guys. To me, get to the playoffs healthy. That's the only thing that matters.
I'm kind of on. I know it's nobody ever wants to like say they're on both sides. Like I feel like I'm kind of dead even. Like I don't like when. So I guess for me it's more. I get older veteran players and these back-to-backs sending out one of them. Like that one I'm okay with. What irks me is more like younger players doing it. Like I guess that's pretty simple.
So you have to be old.
I think I know. It's like also the time of the year.
If they're old ass geezers, you're cool with it. If they're young bucks, you're not cool with it. Is that what we're?
Yeah, but it's also the timing of the year. Like I get now, with 3 or 4 games left in the season, if your seed is already locked up, then okay, rest them. But if there's still a chance that you could go from the 4th to the 3rd seed or the 3rd to the 2nd seed, I feel like that's when it annoys me when there's like load management, because there is still technically something that you could benefit from by playing and by winning. But like with the Rockets, they had already had the 2nd seed locked up
3
before
games
the Clippers.
ago.
Yeah.
They had literally nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm not trying to bash Jalen Green when I say this. Like, I get why he would pursue that. It's something that you don't see from a lot in today's game. But the only thing he's accomplishing in these last 3 games by playing is a personal, individual, quasi-selfish goal.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to crush him, but if he gets hurt while pursuing something for himself, something that's individual, I'm going to have a problem with that, because the most important thing is getting to the playoffs healthy, which is, look, I think I agree with your overall point. Like, if there's something to chase it. Like I'm in agreement with that, but I still think it's to the team, to the player, but more so the team to decide, all right, what are we chasing? What's more important to us? Yeah. Like if we're the 5th seed, even though we have a chance to maybe move up to the 4, but our guys are banged up, then it's up to the team to decide, is it more important to chase that 4 seed, get the home court advantage in the first round, or to get our guys healthy?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to crush them if they decide it's to get healthy. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think another one too is like for a lot of fans, it's the amount of money that players are getting now, and it's the fact that things like concessions and stuff are more expensive. So it's like you want to see the star players and the best players out there as much as possible, especially when they're making big bank and you're having to pay $16 for beer that you could get at the store for $2.50.
Yeah, like maybe there should be something from the NBA where if a team sits out, you get some sort of rebates, maybe not the right term, but some sort of voucher for a game to come. I don't know. Yeah. That's something that the teams and the league would have to figure out. But I think, look, I'm not saying I'm necessarily right about this. It's just what my opinion on it. But I've been pretty consistent in regards to what the texter said. Like if to me, the most important thing beyond anything else is getting to the playoffs healthy. And what Jalen doing right now is not the best way to achieve that. Hopefully it works out, but we will see as the Rockets close out their season tomorrow. All right, we are way over on the break. On the other side, when we get back, it is time for the big question and maybe some Masters audio if we have time as well, because there's a clip that is just priceless. That when the Bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. Just 3 segments to go today on this Saturday edition of the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. If you want to join in on the conversation and answer these big questions I'm about to lay out to the guys, give us a call or a text on the HRMP listen line 713-780-3776. And quick programming note as before we get into it, again, next segment, Mount Rushmore +1, so you don't want to miss that. Next week, Sean Mapes will be back for a WrestleMania Saturday edition of the Bullpen. I know John and Cam are very excited about that. And I haven't seen the schedule too far out, but I don't believe there's another Astros game for a while that interrupt us. So I know we're on for at least the next 2 Saturdays as far out as I've looked. But
I unfortunately will not be able to join you on next week. I have a charity flag football tournament.
Son of a... No, okay. Oh, that's fine.
It's for charity.
Oh, okay. What charity? The Cam Smith Foundation?
No. So
Is this the Human Fund? Humans
the-
helping humans?
the Chargers group.
Oh, of course it's the. Sean, we should have just guessed it was the Chargers.
There is a charity
Is
event.
this to help pay Justin Herbert's contract? Is this what this is?
This goes to Zoe's outreach. It goes to underprivileged children.
All right, now I feel like an a-hole.
And
Okay.
last year
That's-
we won the championship, so we're trying to run it back this year.
There it
So,
is.
yeah.
There it is. So he started off noble, Johnny, but he got to the selfish. Right? He's trying to run it back. All right, Jalen Green over here.
I'm trying to run it back
trying
for
to play
the
all
children.
82 in the flag football league, right? All right, big question time. So we'll have to make it semi-quick here. You know, we ran a little bit over with the Rockets conversation. First question to both of you gentlemen. With your life on the line, would you rather have to get a hit against a major league pitcher or catch a first down going up against an NFL cornerback? You get 10 chances for either. So your life's on the line. If you don't succeed, you die. Would you rather try to get a hit off a major league pitcher or run a route against a defensive back 10 yards, has to be for a first down, and they have to catch the ball?
Who's my quarterback?
You pick anyone you want.
Okay.
Your choice.
Who's pitching?
Well, no, it has to be, let's say, all-star caliber pitcher.
Okay.
Versus an all-star caliber cornerback.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The humans against you on either side, let's level them out. We'll say they're all-star caliber. Not Hall of Famers, but all-star caliber.
The baseball player in me wants to say go against a major league pitcher. But man, I feel like I have a higher chance because the pitcher can throw so many different things. And I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went against some good pitchers in high school that went on to do something.
You would have to go
but
up there just seeing red. You would have to just guess fastball every single time and swing and hope you get there.
I think that there's just a better
if
chance.
If he throws the curve, I mean,
out of
sit back down.
10 chances,
you're dead.
I think I have a higher chance out of those 10 chances against a cornerback that he might slip to where it would allow me to get open and I would be able to live.
So I'm
going that way.
I'm going that way too, because one, on the baseball side of things, to me, I don't know if you guys agree with this, there's nothing harder in all of sports than to hit a round ball with a rounded bat squarely when it's coming at you 95 and curving and sliding and dipping. And there's nothing harder in sports to do than to hit a Major League Baseball well. So, like, both of these are, 0.0001% odds that I'm able to complete.
Yeah.
But I think the NFL catching a pass against an NFL corner is slightly higher because as long as we're enforcing rules, right? He can't, the defensive back just can't throw me to the ground, right? He can't just jump over the top of my shoulder, right? As long as I'm able to get to the 10-yard mark before I keel over, and let's say I've got Peyton Manning thrown to me, Tom Brady, whoever, all-time great, right? There's a chance to where as long as we're enforcing, pass interference, all those sort of rules, where if the quarterback puts it in the perfect spot at the perfect time, then I'm relying on his skill and I could catch that pass even though the defensive back's great. I mean, so I'll take my odds of getting one of those out of 10. Whereas, look, I'll tell you right now, just shoot me. I'm not going to touch I'm not going to touch the pitcher. So I'll go with the football thing.
What if there's defensive holding? Did you get that attempt back?
Yeah, it would start over.
Okay.
Yeah. Johnny?
I mean, both of you took like the explanation, but I think we need a tougher question. No offense, B-Man.
Okay,
because your
ahead.
explanation of, hey, you're relying on the quarterback to put it in the right spot, and all you have to do is catch it once you get to the 10-yard. That seems a lot more doable than hitting a ball, a baseball. And then to Cam's point, like the cornerback's going to slip 1 out of the 10 times, and you're going to have an opportunity. So like, I don't think there's even a question on this.
Okay, so I mean, like, what can we put in that would make it an easier choice? Like with half court shot versus catching a pass against the defensive back. I mean, we're all taking the half court shot, right?
But
what if I only give you like 3 attempts?
Nope.
So 3 attempts from half court, or you get 10 attempts against an NFL cornerback.
I'm going cornerback.
Okay, what about
5 shots from half court? How many shots do you need before you taking that over the NFL corner?
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
See that? But it's so much. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's so much more attainable. Because we see these jamokes at halftime shows all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Hit shots for $10,000, and they've got no ability to play in the NBA. So you can't get the same amount of attempts.
All right.
I'll give you 5.
5
See,
half
I
court?
would take 5 shots from half court over trying to get the pass against the NFL corner.
All right, I would try 5. I would
Johnny?
try 5.
I would definitely do the basket, like shooting the shots. What about
Gotta
you
shoot
know?
your shot.
Can you take the shot for me? Is that what you were asking?
No, I was just saying you gotta shoot your shot.
Miss
I
100%
get
of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky,
Michael
Michael Scott.
Scott.
Boom! Yes. Yes. Right there. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, there
What
we
about
go.
what about taking a handoff? What if you had 10 opportunities? You think you can get 5 yards? 10
We're
10
talking
handoffs.
full 11 on 11?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not with the Texans offensive
oh
line.
God. I mean,
You give me the Lions offensive line, I get a yard.
I am tiny enough
I'm not
to
getting
where
5.
I would be hidden, and I could just.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like, where is
that's
he?
a good point. Now, I would be bigger, just pure size, than some of the defenders trying to tackle me.
Yeah, but then you just.
But I'm
falling
also
forward. Yeah.
very, very unathletic. So yeah, no, they would bring me down instantly. Obviously, yeah, I don't think I would take the run.
No.
I would have to lower the yardage. I couldn't say 5 yards.
Because if I get hit
It
the
would take
first
me
time,
so
who says
long
I'm
to
going to
get
get
to the
up?
line of scrimmage is the problem. Like in theory, they can open up because you occasionally you see this in the NFL where a hole is open up so wide where they say a truck could drive through
Yeah.
it. Like if they give me that, okay, but I still have to be fast enough to get to the line of scrimmage in time to get there when the hole's open because it's going to close pretty quickly after it opens.
And is this two-hand touch or tackle? Because
it's tackle.
if
It's
my
gotta be
ass gets
tackle.
lit up the very first carry, I might not be able to go back out there for the second one.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Real quick one here before we get out for Mount Rushmore +1. If you're cooking breakfast for dinner, are you making breakfast or are you making dinner?
No, you're still making dinner.
You're making dinner because
Yeah.
so dinner is more about the time you're eating it and
Yeah.
not what you're eating.
Because people say I'm gonna have
So even
breakfast
if you're
for
having
dinner all the
bacon
time.
and eggs at 7 p.m., you're having dinner, not breakfast,
Yes.
Johnny?
Because I've done that before, and I literally tell myself, for dinner I'm going to make breakfast.
Okay.
Yes, but it also depends on like how you ask the question. So like you can
You want
say,
me to ask it again?
well, no,
Okay.
not like that. But I mean, you can say, okay, if you cook breakfast for dinner, are you having dinner?
Or are you having breakfast?
Or are you having breakfast? Well, if I cook lasagna for breakfast, I'm still having lasagna. So I think if I cook breakfast for dinner, I'm still having dinner. It's just breakfast in that environment. Do you understand what I'm trying
No,
to say?
I'm with you guys.
Okay.
I'm in agreement, but I think that breaks because I've heard that question. I heard it elsewhere, and it broke a few people's minds. Like they couldn't no, but if you're eating waffles, it's breakfast. Like it's not.
You're eating breakfast food, but it's
Right.
for dinner.
Right,
breakfast
exactly,
food. There you go.
exactly. To me, what is dinner, what is breakfast is about the time of day you're eating it. Like Johnny said, like lasagna for breakfast, you're eating breakfast. You're just eating
Yeah,
lasagna
you're just
for
eating lasagna.
Which, by the way, let's normalize eating lasagna for breakfast. It sounds pretty damn good. I'm with that, Johnny.
I can
All
get
right.
on board.
All right, on the other side of the break, we got to get to the award-winning, groundbreaking segment, Mount Rushmore +1. Don't go anywhere, Houston. We'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. Welcome in to the award-winning, groundbreaking, sports radio landscape-changing segment, Mount Rushmore Plus One, that'll land the three of us, plus Sean Mapes, even though he's not here, in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame in far less than the 27 years it'll take John and Lance. I'm gonna die on that hill. One day that'll probably come back to bite me when Granado fires me. But for now, I'm standing on that hill. And who wants to get started today? Cam, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
You can go first. Why don't you go ahead and lead us off then?
So I chose this topic because the other day I was having a conversation with my mother, and she was asking me, "What are your weekend plans?" And I told her, "I'm going to the symphony tonight."
Ooh,
and she was like, "You, the symphony?" Like,
so your mother basically called you trash, is what you're saying. Like low class, like you do not look like you should be going to. At the time you get a Buc-ee's tattoo, like your symphony days are over. Is that what your mom's saying?
I think they were over way before that.
Okay,
Buc-ee's one.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I did things I do or have done that people wouldn't expect.
Oh, I like this.
No, obviously
we get to learn a little bit about Cam while we also laugh along. It's fun.
Yes, I'm sure some of these will be giggle worthy. So the first one on the list is the symphony. I actually went a few months ago to the Harry Potter symphony.
Okay.
And tonight I'm going to the Selena one.
So now I'm not surprised by the Selena one because I know you're the biggest Selena fan I know. But does it qualify as going to the symphony when it's the Harry Potter night? I'm not trying to dog you because the last time I went to the symphony, and this is going back to when Steve Sable was still alive, so it's been a while. But when they did an NFL Films night, and it was like all the old like 60s, 70s NFL Films music. But I don't know if I really like went to the symphony. I went to hear football music, so
that's a good one. Actually, I wish I could have gone one.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
The Harry Potter one was similar. They played, I think, the second movie, but there's so many songs, and that soundtrack is so long. And the orchestra was like playing.
Did they like play the movie and then play along with it, or they just play the songs?
No, they're playing the movie, and then the orchestra is playing all the sounds and music.
I prefer that than I wasn't sure if they were just playing the songs. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, cool. They're playing like the music and the soundtrack and all that stuff that you would hear in the movie. It's just the orchestra version.
All right. So what's next on your list, sir?
The next one is I get decked out when I go to the Renaissance Festival.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So you're okay. What are you dressed as?
So the last time I went, I actually went as like I don't know, like a Scottish / like Irish,
You
like
have a
little
kilt
Celtic
on?
warrior. I made my own.
Wow.
I went to Michael's and got like
that's
some.
like full on cosplay then, kind of.
Oh, when me and my friends go, we're living in that age.
All right.
Oh,
I like it.
The next one, painting with a twist.
You don't have to explain that one to me. I don't know what is painting with a twist.
Painting with a twist is it's like a company or like a store. I don't know whatever you want to call it. And have you ever been to Mad Potter? You heard of Mad Potter?
Yeah, I did something. There's been a couple of like artsy things that we went to. Like we made a bench for my grandpa when he turned 80, where we took these tiles and we all painted our individual tiles, and they then put it over the top of the bench. So I think that was Mad Potter that I did that at. But
yeah, I mean this is very similar. Like you're not always painting like pottery. Sometimes there's other stuff to like paint, but the twist is there's alcohol involved. So last time I went, like me and my friends, we painted. We had like some beers, so like a bottle of wine. So it just
that sounds fun.
It's fun, but most people don't look at me as somebody that wants to go color and paint. But
no,
I do enjoy.
You're right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed. If you say, "Hey, what am I doing this week?" and take a guess, I wouldn't have said drunk painting.
I don't think anybody would. Yeah.
All right. So what do you got left here?
The next one is I like to candle shop.
Okay. See, like the first couple things on this list, I was like, all right, that sounds kind of cool. You're losing me on the candle shop.
I like candles. So
why? You got lights, right?
I do.
You got electricity?
Is it more about the smell?
It's the smell, and it's also like whenever I watch movies and stuff like that, like I like to cut off all the lights, and so having like a couple of candles.
He's doing bubble baths for watching movies, Johnny.
Actually, I do have a candle in my shower. Yeah. I do have a candle in my shower.
While you're reading some romance novel that's got a Fabio-looking dude on the
no,
cover?
I don't read in the shower. I can't get the book wet. But yeah, I mean, I like candles. I probably have like 10 in the apartment.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of wish, like, I was happy I learned the other things about you. I kind of wish I hadn't learned that one. I'm kidding. I don't care. It's fine. What would you? Was that 5 or you have one?
No,
more?
this is 5,
Okay.
and this is kind of split. This was hard. So initially, I was gonna put markets. Like I like to go to like little outdoor markets,
Like farmers markets.
farmers markets.
Okay.
And even though I don't buy stuff all the time, I still like getting out there and like walking around and just seeing what people have. But to tie with that is I'm a weekly loteria player, which is Mexican bingo.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know me, you know that I like doing that. But most people, when I tell them what I'm doing on a Thursday, going to play loteria, they're like, "What? Like, this is
Yeah,
you?"
well, I'm sure that a lot of people will first need to explain what that is.
They
I
would.
mean, I've heard of it. I don't know much about it other than it's Mexican bingo, but yeah, I think a lot of people would have to have you like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I think people would hear that word and might think it's lottery.
Yeah, loitering or something
or
like
loitering,
that. Yeah.
yes.
Anything but
oh,
loteria.
Yeah, I'm just loitering at the convenience store like I'm in the 90s film Clerks or something. All right. My Mount Rushmore +1. Well, I guess first question. Am I Johnny, you got a second? Well, Johnny's actually busy. All right, Cam, am I going sportsy or non-sportsy here?
Did you go sportsy last week?
I did not.
No, you did not. So sportsy.
Sportsy? All right. So these are Houston sports moments I wish I could have been alive to. Well, some of these were alive, but I was like 2 or 3. But Houston sports moments I wish I could have been alive to experience. Like I was at the Chris Burke walk-off home run. I was, I was old enough to experience, even though I wasn't at the game, to watch the Rockets win their first 2 titles. But these are all moments I either was like 3 or wasn't alive for that I wish I could have experienced. Number 1, Love You Blue. The Earl Campbell 70s Oilers that got to back-to-back, I think it's back-to-back AFC championship games against the Steelers. Definitely 2 AFC title games to the Steelers. They might not have been consecutive. But yeah, I mean, I was born in 83. So by the time I came around, I think Earl was already in New Orleans after he left the Oilers, and Bum Phillips was fired. So I never got to experience the magic that I hear my uncle and my older relatives talk about with Love You Blue. So that's at the top of the list. Also sticking with kind of the same time period, a little bit later, but the Rockets went to 2 NBA finals in the 80s, lost to the Celtics both times, in 6, I believe, both times. The latter of the 2 with Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon, a part of the Twin Towers. Yeah. And then knocked out the Lakers to get to the finals with a crazy walk-off, like just kind of turnaround, like kind of a Leitner-esque shot from Ralph Sampson to knock off the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. That was in 86. I was 3. So, I mean, I was alive, but I have no memory of it. So I wish I had been, old enough to enjoy that. Same year, the 1986 Astros with Mike Scott and Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Those
J.R.
Richard, I think, was still around then. Jim DeShays, I think, was on that team. But that team had some horses and ran into some unfortunate luck when the Mets got them. And was it like a 14-inning game in Game 6 or something? Something crazy.
It had been like wasn't it like the longest Astros postseason?
I think so, until the Chris Burke game,
or until the Chris Burke and then Seattle. Yeah,
the Seattle game was also 18 innings, right? 2 more. The Astrodome when it's new. Like, I went to the Astrodome as a kid. Probably my first trip there would have been like, I don't know, 94, 95. So it wasn't old and busted like it is now. There's not filled with asbestos and rats or whatever. But it would have been really cool to be able to go there. Like I think Mickey Mantle and the Yankees played an exhibition game when it opened up in the 60s. Like, it'd been cool to go into the Dome when it was like brand new, when it was state of the art. Because my memories of the Dome are going to it when it was already on the decline and then obviously becoming a piece of crap towards the end. So it'd been really cool to be able to experience the Dome as a brand new state of the art venue.
Well, and it was unique, isn't that why they gave it the nickname Eighth Wonder of the World? Because it was like the first thing of its kind, basically. Like, yeah.
And the last one, also tied to the Oilers, I mentioned Love You Blue earlier. I don't know how many people actually know this unless you're old, but the Oilers actually won 2 AFL titles back in 1960 and 1961. As someone who's never been able to see my favorite football team win a professional title, and I know it's not the NFL championship, it's not a Super Bowl, But it would have been cool to see the Oilers win 2 AFL titles when they started off in 1960 and 1961. I believe George Blanda, the Hall of Famer, was on those teams. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it'd been cool to experience the Oilers way back in the AFL days when they won back-to-back titles.
I forget that there was and then didn't they?
Because they didn't merge until I guess it had been '68 when the Jets and the I forget who the Jets beat. The Colts? Yeah, they beat the Colts.
Yeah, because didn't Kansas who moved and turned into Kansas City? Was it
The
Cowboys?
Dallas Texans.
Okay,
They were the Dallas Texans. They moved to Kansas City.
Okay,
Yeah.
there it is.
So anyway, those are my Mount Rushmore +1. Johnny, you good here? You have a Mount? Oh, okay. Your Mount Rushmore +1 today is what, sir? You good? Oh, I can go to break.
No, it's okay.
Okay,
it's all
I know
right.
you got other things going on.
I'll give you a quick one.
Okay, go ahead.
My thumbs up was actually a signal of like I'm good, move on.
Oh.
But that's okay. We
can still do that. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. We'll save it for the other side of the break. Save your Mount Rushmore +1 for next week. I know you got a lot going on in the studio. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. When we get back, it's our worst people in sports this week and what we love from sports this week. That when the bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. One more segment today. We'll be back next week for a WrestleMania Saturday version of the Bullpen. Cam Smith sounds like won't be here because he's defending his flag football title, but Sean Mapes will be back alongside me and Johnny. One quick text to answer that I missed earlier. We were having our what would you rather do with your life on the line conversation, and we broke it down to at least initially catch a pass or hit a ball. But from 5012, score a goal against an NHL goalie. Where would you put that amongst the other options we gave you? Would you
so far down?
so far down?
Not only
Would
can
that
I
be at the
not
bottom?
skate. Oh,
Well, no, you could. I mean, you could stand flat-footed if you want to. You just have to score. You don't actually have to do like a
is he
skate up
is he
and
decked
spin.
out in his whole?
Yeah, he's a regular. He's a regular
I
NHL
don't
goalie.
know. A hockey, and I mean hockey. Besides like tennis and some of these other ones, I have little to
So that would be at the bottom of
no
your list?
experience. Yeah.
What about you, Johnny? Would that be at the bottom of your list as well?
I think so too, because yes, I cannot skate, but also if you walk out there flat-footed and just
I know you got no chance.
one swing, you're gonna hit your back. Yeah, no
yeah,
chance.
well, that too. Yeah, you might hit your back. All right, time to end the show as we always do with our worst people in sports this week and what we love from sports this week. My worst person in sports this week, and I think this person is going to get put into our worst people in sports Hall of Fame alongside. Well, this is mostly from a past producer, but Paul Pierce is in the worst people in sports Hall of Fame because our past producer Josh absolutely hated Paul Pierce. But Tyreek Hill is in the news again. For more domestic situations, last week he filed for divorce from his wife. And apparently claimed it was all a mistake, and then sent out some colorful language in a tweet. This week, Hill was served with divorce paper files by his wife, so I guess that is now becoming official. But more domestic problems involving his wife, which I think is like wife number 6 at this point, and his children, which we know he had past incidents with the son having his arm broken. So Tyreek Hill, safe to say to me, scumbag, Mount Rushmore of worst people in sports that we've had on this show. Who is your worst person in sports, Cam?
So mine is cringe social media influencers and streamers doing boxing matches.
So okay, directed at the Pauls.
Not even the Pauls, because I'll give it to them. At least who's the one that boxes professionally? Is it Jake or Logan?
Logan. Both of them.
At least he's been putting in work for years and actually takes it.
Jake was the one that fought Mike Tyson. Logan was the one that fought Mayweather. So they've both boxed.
At least they put in work and appear to actually appreciate the sport. But all these other influencers that are just doing it for clicks, it's so cringe.
Yeah, but that's their job though. Their entire job and livelihood is clicks.
I know, but this is why I was having this conversation with this girl the other day, because she literally loves boxing and wrestling, and she was even talking about how she hates the way boxing and wrestling is getting watered down by stuff like this. It's just
because Logan Paul is also, and he'll have a match at WrestleMania actually against AJ Styles, but he's also involved with the WWE. I mean, I get it, but look, and I'm a huge fan of boxing. I don't follow as much as I used to, because of some of what you mentioned. Well, one, there's too many divisions. There's too many champions in those divisions. It used to be where there would be, I don't know, like a 12-pound weight gap between divisions. Now you sometimes have as little as 5 pounds in between weight divisions. And each division has 4 champions plus interim champions. Plus, it's just so much to keep up with that it's watered down. And really post the Mayweather-Pacquiao era, I've kind of gotten out of it. But I mean, boxing kind of has no one to blame but themselves for, if the sport was in a stronger place, if it was run better, guys like Logan and Jake Paul wouldn't be able to take it over, because they would have who's the mainstream star in boxing outside of Canelo? Boxing fans, know other guys like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford and, on and on and on. But I think as far as mainstream sports fans, I think they kind of only know Canelo. So, I'm just saying it's kind of boxing's own fault for the spot they put themselves in. But regardless, it's time to go ahead and stop swimming with the anger sharks. Go ahead and doggy paddle over to Sea of Tranquility and talk about what we love from sports this week. What I love from sports this week, Johnny, we have this audio here. There was an announcer for the Jupiter Hammerheads, which is a minor league team for the Miami Marlins, who was calling a game last week when the Hammerheads walked not one, not two, I'll skip ahead. 22 batters in a 9-inning game. And I forgive me, I don't have the guy's name written down, but he did not hold back and let his feelings be known.
It's only my 5th season. And I've been in baseball, a little under a decade because of my college days. I've never written so many RBI walks in a book before. Listen, I know that I'm supposed to be optimistic about our team here, but I mean, come on, guys. Like, I could go out there. Let me loosen up my shoulder. I'll go help things out because you got to put it over the plate. You got to give your defense a shot. You have not been given a shot all game. We're broadcasting for maybe 2 people right now. That's for sure.
Hey, these two people are thoroughly mentioned and entertained right now.
Next pitch, misses outside, ball 4. Well, why not? 21 walks today. The payoff pitch from Reyes, outside, ball 4. So there's the 3rd walk of the inning, the 22nd walk of the game, and that'll load the bases for Manuel Beltre.
I think my favorite part was ball 4 for walk 21. Why not?
Why not?
he is
At this point,
completely.
I feel like
checked
at
out.
this point he's like on the opposite end now. Now he's like, all right, how many more can they get?
Yeah, I
Let's
think
get
he's
to
rooting
30.
for it. I also think he might be updating his resume in real time while he's calling the game. Like,
Yeah.
one, he's filling out the box score. He's also filling out the resume. He's like, man, I'm
I
going to say
can't do
something.
this.
I can't do this anymore. That or I'm going to say something that gets me canned. Quickly, Cam, what'd you love from sports this week?
Ime calling out NBA opponents for being soft.
Yeah, I mean, he's
him.
definitely made a habit of that for sure. I mean, I think this started with, was it LeBron last year? He called a soft ass boy at one point.
It was LeBron last year,
Yeah.
and then this year when he was getting into it with like Draymond and Steph. And
Oh
basically
yeah,
just being
yeah,
like,
because they were complaining about the non-calls on Steph, and yeah, Ime let him have it. I love it when Ime is talking trash to the opponents. All right, that'll do it for the bullpen this week. Again, we'll be back next week on WrestleMania Saturday with Sean Mapes returning, and probably a few guests along the way. For Cam Smith, for John Belmer, I am Brian McDonald. Thank you for listening. Make sure you stay tuned to ESPN 97.5 because coming up next, the Meat and Jeans Show. But for Cam, for John, I am Brian again. Once again, have a great week in Houston. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to the show, Cam Smith.